How often do you let things get to you more than you should? How often are you sitting in thought, paralyzed by stress, angst, and worry about things that could happen or things that did? We all do. We all deal with these things. I myself used to lay in bed at night, thinking about all different possibilities, getting so down on myself about my current state of affairs, and then, well, doing nothing about it, or doing the opposite, pushing so hard to try to fix the situation and change it that I end up making it a bit worse for myself and for others. The truth is, many things in our lives we are not able to control, and trying to control these things is only going to lead to our own suffering. But there was a light at the end of this dark tunnel, because once I started to understand what I'm going to teach you in this video, everything changed. The thoughts slowed down. The sleep became much better. I felt like I had control over my life in a way that I never knew could happen. I felt like I had control over my life for the first time in my life. What we're going to talk about today is the law of detachment, and how that is actually very incorrect, because it is not the law of detachment, but the law of non-attachment. And we're going to talk about what both of those are, why they are different, and which one you should be practicing in today's video. But you know what we're going to do first? We're going to meditate. You didn't think that if you jumped on this video, you would jump into a meditation session, did you? You're probably going down the YouTube rabbit hole right now, and this might not be something you want to do. So you can skip if you want to, but I'm going to ring this bell, and for about 3 to 5 minutes, you and I are going to meditate. And the reason you should do this is because if you want to practice the law of non-attachment, meditation is going to make it a lot easier. Just like learning a language, the law of non-attachment takes practice to get good at and takes practice to stay good at. So to do this meditation, all you're going to need to do is make sure there are no distractions around you, get in a comfortable position, and when you're ready, close your eyes and wait for the bell. I'd like you to begin this meditation with a deep breath in through the nose and exhale out the mouth all of that stale air that you've been holding deep, deep, deep within your lungs. Get it all out so you can't get any more out, and then return to normal breathing through the nose. And if you can't breathe through your nose, breathe through your mouth at a normal rate. And before we really dive into this meditation, we're going to set an intention to meditate. Just an intention that we are here for this meditation, for ourselves, and to understand the law of non-attachment. That is our intention today. Funny enough, our breathing patterns have a lot to do with how we feel in our day-to-day lives. Shallow breathing actually leads to more anxiety over time. So we want to make sure that our breathing is nice and consistent, observing the breath, but making sure at the same time that it is consistent. The same amount of air comes in as the same amount of air comes out. Now I'd like you to bring your attention to your nostrils. Feel that air coming into the nose and out of the nose. And start to dissect the sensation like a scientist. You're observing the different feelings in their entirety. And what do you notice? Is it cold air? Is it warm air? You might notice the cold air that comes in and the warm air that comes out. Is there any tingling sensations? Do you feel a bit uncomfortable in any way? That's okay if you do. Just notice it. Just be aware of these sensations as they are. Feeling that breath in and out through the nostrils. Go ahead and do that for a few moments. I won't speak, and I just want you to just be a scientist. Kind of discover these sensations for yourself. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes. Take a moment of gratitude that you showed up for yourself today. And I'm very happy that you did as well. And I hope it made you feel a little bit better. Okay, now let's jump back in. Oh wait, I have to ring the bell. That's right. Got this in Thailand. The law of non-attachment and the law of detachment and why they are different. There's a lot of things that we deal with in our daily lives that causes us stress and anxiety, worry, a lot of questioning and overthinking. And people have been speaking about the law of detachment to detach yourself from the situation and then not give a fuck about it anymore. The problem with detachment, however, is you are being apathetic. You are not connected to the situation. And in fact, detachment is very attuned to the belief system of nihilism. You may or may not be familiar with what nihilism is, but nihilism is pretty much just not caring about anything. The truth is, when people speak about the law of detachment, what they really mean is the law of non-attachment. Because detachment is that apathetic, removing oneself from the situation. The law of non-attachment is being present with the situation, but not allowing the situation to waver who you are or how you feel. What's great about the law of non-attachment is it's actually a principle, a core principle in Buddhist philosophy. If you're new to my channel, I talk about Buddhist philosophy and practice, as well as meditation, spirituality, and just living happier lives. And my practice of non-attachment has done more for me than pretty much anything else when it comes down to my practice. The law of non-attachment, again, is being present with the situation, but not allowing it to waver us. So here's a visual representation of what I mean by this. There's a book called the Dhammapada. The Dhammapada is simply a collection of cliff notes of the teachings that the Buddha gave thousands of years ago. And in one of the verses, he says that if we are attached to something, we are acting like a rickety old house on a windy mountain. All it takes is one blow of the wind to knock us over. Now, you might have experienced this yourself. You're attached to something, and all it takes is one wrong move, one moment for something to not go correctly. And the next thing you know, well, you've been knocked over. You're losing your mind, you're stressing, you're overthinking, and you have a lot of problems. However, the Buddha also said that when we are equanimous and practicing non-attachment, we are like a rock or a stone or a boulder on that windy mountain. The wind can blow all day and we will not move. I really like this description because visually it puts that in my mind, that when something bad happens, something out of my control, I can stay present with it, just like the rock and the boulder stays present with the wind. But I don't have to let it shake me or affect me or move me in any way. I can stay equanimous to the situation. And if you're not familiar with that word, equanimous or equanimity just means you do not react to a situation. You simply experience it. You simply are unwavered by the situation. I also want to dive into a bit of biology and explain to you what is actually happening when we stay equanimous deep within our brain. Science says that our amygdala controls how we are feeling based on our parasympathetic and our sympathetic nervous system. Our parasympathetic nervous system is when we are relaxed. Have you ever just been really happy and content? Maybe after a nice meal and you're watching a movie with your family, or maybe when you're sitting outside at a park on a Sunday and you have nothing to do. That's the parasympathetic nervous system being active. And that's when we feel really at peace and like everything is okay. It's actually a reptilian part of our brain that goes all the way back to evolutionary times that allows us to feel at peace and calm, and many animals feel this. The sympathetic nervous system is our fight, flight, or freeze response. So those times when we're really struggling with something that's out of our control and we start to stress and worry, the amygdala is actually triggering in our brain the sympathetic nervous system. And what happens, lots of chemical reactions and hormonal changes start to happen within our body that make us feel very uncomfortable. So the goal here with non-attachment is to make sure that we do not trigger that amygdala and trigger that sympathetic nervous system, and instead keep ourselves more balanced and ideally more during that parasympathetic nervous system experience. This is the practice. This is the art form. This is the art of non-attachment. And I say art form because it's so much more than just something you do. It's like painting. It's dynamic. There are certain times where you need to really pay attention. There are certain times where it's a bit easier, and it's a constant balance, ebb and flow. So for today's lesson, I want you to remember, non-attachment and detachment are very different. Detachment is simply pulling yourself and removing yourself away from a situation, which we don't want to do in our daily life. Who wants to do that? We want to be present and experience life. And detachment is also a nihilistic approach to life. Whereas in a Buddhist approach, we are approaching it with non-attachment. We're still being present, but we're not being attached to the outcome. The truth is, many things in our lives we are not able to control, and trying to control these things is only going to lead to our own suffering. If we practice non-attachment, we understand the truth that things are just out of our control sometimes, and we don't need to react. I'm not saying that if you have the option to change something for the better, you shouldn't, but I am saying that how you go about it and your relation to that situation will determine if you suffer or if you do not. Now, the final thing I will say to you is meditation is going to be very helpful with this. So if you'd like, check out some more of my videos where I do a little bit longer meditations, and I hope that you can practice meditation with me on a consistent basis so you can start to be happier and feel a bit better in your daily life. May you be well. I love you. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope it was fun.